I'm 26, and I asked my stepdad to walk me down the aisle instead of my biological father, and now my dad is absolutely livid. Let me give you some background. My parents split up when I was 16, and yeah, it was messy. The official reason was that my mom cheated, but the truth is, their marriage had been crumbling for years because of my dad's abusive behavior. Things between them were toxic and painful long before the affair ever happened. When everything came out and they started the divorce, my dad pretty much made it clear that I wasn't worth sticking around for. I still remember him saying something like, "You've got your mom's new boyfriend now, you don't need me." I was just a teenager when he said that, and honestly, it crushed me. From that point on, he just vanished. He moved out and never looked back. After the divorce, I lived full-time with my mom. My dad didn't try to set up visits or even bother calling me on my birthdays. It was like I didn't exist anymore. He completely ghosted me. Meanwhile, the guy my mom had the affair with eventually moved in. At first, I'll admit I hated the idea of him. I was angry at my mom for cheating, angry at the whole situation. It felt like everything in my life had flipped upside down, and I didn't know how to deal with any of it. I knew my mom had been miserable with my dad, but it didn't make the betrayal any easier to process at the time. But then something unexpected happened. As time went on, I started noticing how much calmer and safer our home felt without my dad around. And surprisingly, my mom's boyfriend, who later became my stepdad, turned out to be a really decent guy. He didn't try to replace my dad, but he stepped up in ways my real father never did. He taught me how to drive, helped me fill out college applications, and even showed up for my high school events to cheer me on. All the things a real dad should have done? He did them. For over a decade now, he's been more of a father to me than my biological one ever was. Now don't get me wrong, I haven't forgotten how his relationship with my mom started. That part used to weigh heavy on me, and I had to do a lot of emotional work to come to terms with it. But eventually, I stopped judging him based on the past and started paying attention to how he treated us in the present. He's been a loving husband to my mom and a consistent, supportive presence in my life. They got married a couple of years after the divorce, and they're still going strong. My dad? He remarried about a year after the divorce, and I wasn't even invited. I didn't find out until after the wedding was over, and only because some relatives mentioned it. That stung, even if part of me expected it. Our relationship was already pretty much dead by then. His new marriage just made it crystal clear I wasn't part of his new life. After that, whatever scraps of contact we had completely disappeared. No calls. No texts. Nothing. Fast forward to now, I'm engaged to an amazing man, and we're planning our wedding. Given everything that's happened, it felt obvious to me that I'd want my stepdad to walk me down the aisle. He's the one who actually showed up for me. He's the one who earned that place in my life. And since my biological dad and I have zero relationship, I didn't invite him at all. It didn't feel right to include him just to avoid drama. But of course, news travels. My dad found out about the wedding through extended family, mainly my paternal grandparents and a couple of aunts I still keep in touch with. A few weeks ago, one of my aunts told me that my dad completely flipped when he heard my stepdad would be walking me down the aisle. Apparently, he went on this whole rant about how I'm disrespecting him and choosing a home wrecker over my own father. He's now telling anyone who'll listen that I'm betraying him by letting the other man take his place. In his mind, I'm not just choosing someone else, I'm condoning the affair that ended his marriage. One of my aunts, his sister, even called me about it. She admitted that my dad wasn't exactly a saint, but she still thinks I'm being cruel by cutting him out and honoring the man she believes ruined their family. She said it's like a slap in the face and urged me to find some way to include my dad, maybe have both of them walk me or at least acknowledge him somehow. According to her, leaving him out completely is petty and humiliating for him. Honestly, hearing all this made me furious. This man walked out on me. He chose to disappear. He told me to go ahead and let someone else be my father. And now he's crying victim because I actually did just that? Come on. This is the same guy who didn't invite me to his wedding, who ignored my birthdays, and who told me straight up that he didn't see a point in staying in my life. And now I'm supposed to feel guilty for honoring the man who actually stepped in and raised me? It's ridiculous. The hypocrisy is unreal. He's out here preaching about loyalty and betrayal like he wasn't an abusive partner and a completely absent father. Still, I'll admit my aunt's words did leave a mark. A small part of me wonders if I'm being too harsh. From where I stand, my decision makes total sense. But I guess if I put myself in my dad's shoes, maybe it does feel like I'm erasing him from my life completely. A few other relatives, mostly from his side, have made comments too, kind of implying that I'm the one in the wrong here. And now, I don't know. I'm questioning if I really did the right thing by cutting my dad out and giving my stepdad such a meaningful role in the ceremony. So here I am, wondering, am I wrong for asking the man who came into our lives through an affair, but who's been the only real father figure I've known for the last 10 years, to walk me down the aisle instead of the dad who abandoned me? You absolutely nailed it when you said my father was the one who wrecked our family. I know for a fact my mom tried everything she could to make their marriage work before things finally fell apart. By the time she cheated, I think she was just at her limit. I'm not saying that made it right, but my dad always seems to conveniently forget how his actions pushed us all to that breaking point in the first place. Another commenter put it perfectly: my dad basically fired himself from the role of father when he walked out on me as a teenager. He doesn't just get to pop back into my life over a decade later and demand to play the role of father of the bride. Where was he when I needed him most? He wasn't around for anything, no birthdays, no graduations, no big life moments. Meanwhile, my stepdad showed up every single time. He earned this role, plain and simple. And what really blows my mind is how my dad keeps acting like I'm disrespecting him. In my opinion, the only real disrespect happened when he abandoned his 16-year-old daughter without a second thought. He's not entitled to a place in my life or my wedding just because we share DNA. He made his choices. I'm making mine. And I'm not about to let guilt-tripping relatives shame me for that. Most of them either don't know how badly he treated me, or they choose to ignore it. Either way, I'm standing firm. I'm not the one in the wrong here. I replied to that comment saying, yeah, my dad gave up the dad title a long time ago. It's not even like he's trying to reconnect now. He hasn't sent a single message, not even a congrats on the engagement. All he's done is complain to anyone who'll listen about how awful I supposedly am. So the idea that he can just swoop in now and pretend to be some proud father is honestly laughable. You asked where he was for the important milestones. Well, he was absent for all of them: high school graduation, college graduation, birthdays, you name it. Meanwhile, my stepdad was right there in the front row, cheering me on. So yeah, my stepdad didn't just fill the gap, he truly earned the honor of walking me down the aisle. Another commenter said it clearly: my dad has no one to blame but himself. Cheating sucks, sure, but this wasn't a case of a happy marriage being destroyed by an affair. Our home was already broken by his abuse. That damage was done long before my mom ever met my stepdad. And when my dad left, that was the final nail in the coffin. It makes total sense that I would choose the man who actually showed me love, stability, and support. My dad's feelings? They're not my burden to carry. He's never cared about how I felt, so why should I twist myself in knots over how he feels now? This whole meltdown is just about his ego. He's embarrassed, and instead of reflecting on what brought us here, he's decided to cast me as the bad guy. Classic manipulation. But I'm done playing that game. I'm not letting him, or anyone else on his side, make me second-guess myself. The truth is, I don't owe him anything. I deserve a joyful, drama-free wedding, and my stepdad deserves to be honored for everything he's done. I'm not going to regret that decision. I responded to that comment with something I'd never really said out loud before: my dad's abuse is what actually destroyed our family. I have vivid memories from those years, like the time I watched him shove my mom into a wall during an argument. He brushed it off like it was no big deal. That was just one of many incidents. Growing up in that kind of environment, where fear and tension were constant, that's what broke our home. Not my stepdad. By the time my mom started seeing the man who would become my stepdad, we were already living in chaos. He didn't destroy our family, he helped us rebuild it. And you're totally right about my dad's ego. He's always had this way of making everything about him, even when he's the one who caused the problem. Now that he's feeling embarrassed, he's turning up the drama and playing the victim, like he always does. Some of his relatives have fallen for it, but I'm not buying it anymore. Hearing that outside perspective, that I owed him nothing, really meant a lot. I'm finally letting go of that guilt and focusing on my happiness. I want to enjoy my wedding without all this emotional baggage weighing me down. Update 1. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who responded with support and validation. The overwhelming consensus was that I'm not in the wrong here, and honestly, it gave me the confidence I needed to put an end to all this drama with my dad. Even though I hadn't originally planned on contacting him, I decided to send a message. Nothing over the top, just a clear and civil email. I don't have him on social media, so I got his email address from my grandparents. In the email, I told him I was aware of everything he'd been saying. I laid out the truth from my point of view, that he was the one who walked away, that he chose to cut me out of his life, and that he doesn't get to be upset now that he's being treated like a stranger. I called out his insults toward my stepdad and reminded him that after everything he put me and my mom through, he has no right to take some moral high ground. I also made it crystal clear that I wouldn't tolerate any more gossip or interference from him about my wedding. If he couldn't behave like a decent human being, then he wasn't welcome in my life, period. I didn't really expect him to respond. But he did. And, well, it wasn't great. He wrote back this long, angry email where he doubled down on everything. He called me ungrateful, said I'd picked a pathetic replacement over my real dad, and hurled all kinds of insults at my mom and stepdad. There was a lot of name-calling, and at one point, he actually wrote, "Fine, don't ever call me dad again. If you want that guy to be your father, then go ahead and F*** yourself. Honestly, it would be funny if it weren't so sad. He's acting like I suddenly cut him off, like we had this warm, father-daughter bond that I threw away. But in reality, he dumped me years ago. This is basically the same thing he told me when I was 16, just with more swearing this time." Reading that email did hurt. I mean, he's still my biological father, so it stings, even after everything. But mostly, it just made me angry. And weirdly, it also gave me closure. That email was all the confirmation I needed that cutting him off completely is the right move. I sent him one last short reply, just saying, "Don't worry, I won't contact you again. Take care." Then I blocked his email and phone number. I told my grandparents and my aunt that I don't want to hear anything else from him. That chapter is closed. On a brighter note, my mom and stepdad have been amazing through all of this. When I told my stepdad everything, he actually said he'd totally understand if I wanted to involve my biological dad too, just so I wouldn't feel guilty. That's the kind of man he is, gentle, selfless, and supportive. But I reassured him that there's no one else I'd want walking me down the aisle. He's my real dad, the one who chose to show up and love me through it all. We ended up having a tearful little moment together, and honestly, it just made me even more sure that I made the right choice. He pulled me into this big, warm hug and told me how honored he was to walk me down the aisle. He said he just wants me to be happy, and I could tell he meant every word. That moment really cemented everything for me. The wedding's still a few months away, but my dad won't be attending, and honestly, that's probably for the best. With everything that's happened, I'm finally at peace with that decision. Right now, I'm choosing to focus on what really matters. I've got an incredible mom, a stepdad who's been more of a father than I ever could have hoped for, and a fiancé I adore. That's my family. That's who counts. I appreciate everyone who took the time to comment and help me see this situation for what it truly is. Update 2, final update. It's been a little over a month since my wedding, and I just wanted to share one last update. I'm officially married, and the day was everything I hoped it would be. No drama. No unexpected surprises. Just joy. As planned, my stepdad walked me down the aisle. And the second we took that first step together, I noticed tears in his eyes. I was holding back tears myself. It was emotional, beautiful, and exactly what I wanted it to be. Later during the reception, I gave a short speech to thank him. I called him the dad I never expected but the one I'm endlessly grateful for. He was so touched. He even gave a toast afterward, saying that becoming my stepdad was one of the best things that ever happened to him. There wasn't a dry eye at our table. We had our father-daughter dance, and he was just glowing with pride. That moment will always be one of my favorite parts of the entire day. As for my biological father, no surprise, he didn't show. He hasn't contacted me since that email either. As far as I know, he didn't try to interfere. A few relatives from his side did come, including my grandparents, and I'm happy to say they were respectful. Nobody brought up my dad or tried to cause drama. The day was peaceful, filled with love and laughter, surrounded by the people who actually care about me. I have no regrets. Not one. Choosing to cut ties with my dad was the right decision, and choosing to honor my stepdad was the best one I could have made. It was the perfect choice for the perfect day. Thank you to everyone who encouraged me and helped me sort through all the noise. Your support meant more than I can put into words. I'm starting this new chapter with a full heart, surrounded by people who love me, and I wouldn't have it any other way.